Well, hi, Rex. Welcome to the show.
Hi, Kevin. I'm honored to be here today.
And Richard, nice to see your face.
It's always a pleasure to be seen. And Kevin, thank you for inviting me. And Rex, it's a pleasure to be joined by you from Kansas. So,
Thank
Yeah.
you.
Yeah. So you're in Texas right now, Richard, and Rex, you're in Kansas. Okay. And I'm up in Toronto, and the weather's wonderful here in Toronto. It's a great day for golf. I wish I could golf. I'm working towards that. Hopefully by the end of the summer, I'll be able to swing a club. Well, that's the goal. Hey, listen, guys, we have a lot in common. We're all diabetic, and we're all have amputations. We sort of are all bilateral, except for Richard. You've lost your leg and part of your foot, not the whole leg. But
correct.
so we have a lot in common. We got lots to talk about here today, and really looking forward to having you guys. Now, Rex, Richard, you're in Texas, and you got kicked out of your house for.
Correct.
Tell us a little bit about that.
Well, I was a winter Texan. I spent 6 months in Arkansas and 6 months in Texas. And this year we decided to move down here to Texas full time. So I've had a complete team of doctors and everything up in Arkansas and also down here in Texas because I've had amputations in both places. And they're doing remodeling in the house right now. So it was easier for us to go down to South Padre and do a little fishing, do a little vacation in the 100-degree weather.
Good for
And
you. Yeah. Yeah,
yeah,
that's great. That's excellent. I know what it's like to have renovations going on and trying to live there within the same space. It's never fun. So I'm glad you were able to get away. Now, Rex, you're keeping busy these days. What are you up to?
Well, July is Disability Awareness Month. So here in Kansas, I've been helping organize something in my community here in Lawrence, Kansas. We've got a bunch of speakers talking about the ADA, turning 35 years this July. So we're trying to make some awareness for everybody in the community and not just focus on limb loss, but any type of disability, whether it's mental, physical, emotional. Try to incorporate all of it, that we're all one big community. So been taking care of that, and I'm also leading our support group at the hospital that meets once a month for limb loss.
Uh, you
So
know,
it's a lot of advocacy going on.
yeah, I really appreciate what you're doing, Rex. It's a lot to take on when you take on these projects of building awareness and volunteering and giving back, but it's really
You don't
rewarding.
realize how much it is until you get into it, and then you realize the impact you're making.
Yeah, yeah, definitely rewarding for yourself too, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Well, listen, let's get down to business. I want to know if you were to say to somebody, "Hey, this is what started my journey on limb loss," what would it be? What started what's one word that started your journey on limb loss?
I'll go first.
I would say initially that I had a foot ulcer on my foot that went undetected. Well, it was detected. I just didn't want to admit that
Yeah,
I knew it was a diabetic ulcer, and I
yeah.
chose not to seek medical attention. I just thought it would heal. And being on your foot, it doesn't heal.
Right, exactly. And so what I heard there is a foot ulcer, right? How about you, Rex? What started your journey?
Mine was a simple blister on the bottom of my foot. Uh, I asked my daughter what to do about it. She's an NC2A athlete, and she said, put tough skin on it
Yeah.
and a Band-Aid. And my girlfriend across the street told me to go to the doctor, but being a guy, I said, no, I can take care of it. and sounds a lot like Rex. I didn't know what it was. So finally, it got to the point where I went to my doctor, and the doctor gave me the option of going to a foot doctor or a wound clinic. And that didn't work out because of the fact it's such a delay in getting into a doctor.
Right.
Through the VA, because I had to go to the outside community care because we don't have everything in rural Arkansas.
Yeah.
So that's when I found out it was the same thing. It was a foot ulcer, but I didn't have any clue what a foot ulcer was.
Yeah.
I thought an ulcer was something you had in your stomach.
Yeah, exactly. That's what you think of when you hear the word ulcer. Now, same thing with me. I stepped on something. Must have been sharp, and it stayed in my foot because I couldn't feel it. I had neuropathy, and I just continued to walk on it, and it got worse and worse and worse. And before you knew it, it was a big foot ulcer. That's what started my journey. So we're all kind of on the same page here. We're all all started our limb loss journey at this on the same with a foot ulcer. All right, well, listen, let's take you, Rex. Take us down the journey of that. So you discover you have a foot ulcer. What happens next?
Well, I basically was taken to the hospital. I'd never been tested for diabetes. I thought I had diabetes. My grandmother and my mother had diabetes,
Oh,
but I was 40 years old. I still thought I was invincible. And the doctor had a nice conversation with me saying, "Do you have any idea what your blood sugar should be in normal range?"
mm,
And I said, "No, I have no idea." And he said, "Well, let's check it just to see what it is."
yeah.
And he said, "Do you have any idea what normal blood sugar should be?" And I said, "No, I don't." And so he came back in after he tested my blood and he said, "What do you think it is?" I even went in fasting, thinking, knowing it was probably going to be diabetes. And I said, "I don't know. What is it, doc?" And he said, "Well, you're sitting at 320."
Mm,
Anybody who knows anything about diabetes knows that 320 is very high,
very,
even fasting. I said, "Well, doc, what's the norm?" He said 80 to 120.
wow.
I said, "Well, okay, I guess I have diabetes."
Yeah, they
And
don't
from
even
that
have,
point, I went to the hospital.
yeah.
Go ahead.
They don't even have to do a second test,
And
I was gonna say.
no, it was you're going straight to the hospital. I'm not even going to give you the option to go home. And so I went to the hospital and um, I did do hyperbaric oxygen treatments to see if it would heal up. And it would get so close, it would be like a pinhole, and then it would just open back up again. And so went round and round and round. I had lots of lymphedema going on, swelling in my calves. And they were messing with my head emotionally, saying, "Well, we think we can save it. We think, we're going to do everything we can to save it." And emotionally, I was like, I can't continue living like this. One day we're going to keep it, the next day we're not.
Yeah.
And so he finally said, "We're going to amputate." And my first one was in 2013. So that was my left dominant leg.
Okay.
And so I've been a double amputee for 2.5 years.
Okay.
So um, I've had this going on for a while. So
Yeah.
that's basically how it happened.
Yeah. Okay. That gives us a good background. And it's pretty shocking when they tell you at one moment you're going to lose your leg, and then no, you're not, and yes, you are. It's just an emotional roller coaster.
I
Hey,
said, "You're the professionals. If you think it needs to come off, then take it because I can't handle emotionally what you're doing to me."
right. Hey, Richard, tell us your story. You discover you have
Yeah,
a
not a problem. It parallels a lot of the same thing. Uh, I went to the wound clinic. Well, I did not go to the wound clinic. I went to the foot doctor, and the foot doctor said that it would be 2 weeks before I could get in but they had a cancellation on the following Monday, and this was on Thursday or Friday night in 2019, and I went home, but then I developed 101 fever. So we knew immediately that I needed to go to the emergency room. So I went to the emergency room, and that's when they found out there was a big problem. And they addressed the wound, set me up with the wound clinic. I went in, and they couldn't, the same thing. They tried the hyperoxybaric chamber, 4 visits to that. And the doctor was very good to us because he explained everything. That I was 70 years old at the time.
Right.
And the doctor said we could fight it for 5 years. And then all of a sudden, at the end of 5 years, we're still in the same situation where you have to make the decision to amputate or not. And one of the things that happened to me was the fact that my diabetic shoe doctor, who was also an amputee, was in the hospital, and he got shot in his leg at 27, was able to rebuild a house. He's a podiatrist. I mean, he was totally working. So I knew that I could also. So we had the discussion, and it was like, okay, if he gets down to that point, then we're going to amputate. Well, they did the greater toe and the toe next to it, and they did all of that. And I couldn't see the bottom of my foot, but I went in for wound care, and the doctor or the nurse took off the bandage, and the doctor looked at the foot and said, "Take him to the hospital right now."
Yeah.
That was the first amputation of above the foot at the ankle, and 2 weeks, I believe it was 2 weeks or 3 weeks after that, the infection hadn't stopped, and they took another amputation. And then at the 4th amputation, the doctor explained to us that he was going to go above a little higher, hopefully get ahead of the infection and stop it and see what's happening. And I've been a diabetic for over 30 years, and had vascular issues. So they did it. They did the amputation below knee. I was in the hospital. It really seemed to stop it. But again, being diabetic, I don't heal quickly. So I was in the hospital a number of weeks. I was able to, the VA approved my in-hospital physical therapy and in-hospital occupational therapy because I was single at the time.
Right.
And they wanted to make sure that I could live single by my time. But my girlfriend became my caregiver. So she was able to go through a lot of that. And I was able to develop a team approach to the ulcer because I didn't know what an ulcer was. And, you can pack an ulcer with yards and yards of gauze or whatever it takes to clean it. And the emotional part of it, I already had a mental doctor. So they were concerned of the depression that comes into it.
Yeah.
And
that
I had enough people to talk to me and keep me on the right track.
Yeah, we'll get into that a little bit, Richard, if it's okay, talking a little about the mental side of things and the depression, because I think it's pretty common for people. Listen,
Yes.
we're going to see how common, the 3 of us really are. I'll tell you that, after I stepped on my piece of glass here or screw or whatever it might have been, I went to the hospital. And I had a huge fever. I was feeling very, very sick. And when I got to the hospital, they said, we need to admit you like right now. And I didn't know what was going on until later, but I was going septic, and it sounded like you were too, Richard. If you have a
I
fever,
I was as well. I was as
yeah,
well.
you too, Rex, right? And for those listeners on the call, if they don't know what being septic is, it's blood poisoning because I didn't hear about what it was until it happened to me, right? Because of the infection, your blood gets poisoned, and you have hours to live. Like it happens really fast. So I was grateful for great doctors that I had, and they were able to like get me out of that. And then they started to chop my foot. So they took two toes first, then they took the third toe, then they took half the foot. Then they said, we'll have to take a little bit more because it wasn't healing. And finally, they said, we can, got infected again. And they said, we could take a little bit more, but we're going to keep chopping, Kevin. And I said, just take the leg. And that was it.
I've talked to several people that I basically each time I had my loss,
Yeah,
it was the whole leg. I've had several people tell me they wish they would have just taken the whole leg from the get-go
yeah,
instead of having the quote hack jobs that
right,
just make things worse. You
right.
know, if you know you're going to have a leg amputated, that's one thing. But if you're going to continue to keep doing it,
Yeah.
then it's a emotional stress all over again.
Yeah, because it doesn't heal. Like I've talked to
No,
many people and that has this, multiple surgeries. It doesn't heal. And you're just in fact, when I first went into the hospital, I had two orthosurgeons come to my room and said, we're gonna have to take your leg. And not knowing I was naive to this, so I argued with the surgeons and said, no, get me a vascular surgeon that will just take my toes. And I did that and I regretted it. I wish I would have taken the leg. You're right. I felt better. It healed faster. I was up and walking a lot quicker. So, but I know it's not for everybody, right? You have to make your own decision and stick to it. But sometimes it's good to listen to other people, right?
Yeah,
I just think that I guess I was just so bad that I mean, it was a
Yeah,
no-brainer. Like, we're gonna have to take the leg. We're not gonna just piece it by toe
yeah,
or ankle.
and I totally disagree.
yeah,
And that's where my advocacy comes in. Uh, because when you say leg, to me, that means the entire leg. That's above knee amputation.
right.
Uh, and my doctors and my surgeons were able to save my leg to below knee. And
Yeah,
there's such a big difference between below knee and above knee.
that's a good point.
Um,
Absolutely.
yeah. So I don't know if Kevin was talking about. I mean, Rex was talking about above the knee. Uh, when I came
I'm
into
below
it,
I'm below the knee on both.
Yeah.
So
okay. So when you said
I
leg,
have my knees. I have my knees. And I agree
okay,
with you.
yeah, okay. Because when I came in to the amputee world, I did not know what was going to happen. And mine was the worst that you could possibly be because I knew nothing about amputations
Right.
until I got on the support groups. And there were people that were above the knee that it took them twice as long as what I was, even though I was diabetic. It still took them twice as long to be able to be up and fully operational.
Yeah.
And I'd
When I
agree
say,
with you on that, Richard. I'd
yeah,
agree with you.
Yeah.
okay, so then we agree. It's just on terminology, and when
Right.
people hear leg, they're not talking about taking a full leg.
And
Um,
that's a good point because, you know, if you don't know, you don't know. But
Yeah.
oh yeah,
there is a difference between above the knee and below the knee. And, you
Yeah.
know, I've even had people take it all the way to the hip, and I'm like, oh my
oh
gosh.
I don't know how
yeah.
to do it. I don't know how they do it. But yeah, it's a good point. I'm glad you brought that up, Richard. For the listeners on the call here, if you don't know the difference, trying to walk with a prosthetic above the knee is very, very difficult because nothing bends, right? Like you have to learn your prosthetic. It's a whole new knee, right? That you're dealing with
And
that.
it's a lot easier to get up using your knee than not having it at
Right,
all
right.
if you fall.
Yeah, exactly. Hey, Richard, you brought one other thing up I want to move into, and that's support. It's really important and critical that you have a good support group or team or family or friends when you're going through this. Would you agree to that?
Oh, I mean, 100%. And the only thing that I get in a disagreement with the team is the fact that I hear people say, well, my doctor told me that. Well, you have to be able to rely on your doctor. If you do not rely on that doctor, you always have another choice because the doctors work for you.
That's right.
And you can get a second opinion. And I even had a surgical doctor that told me himself that if you don't like my opinion, you can get a different doctor.
Okay, I will.
Yeah, and he was a VA doctor, and it just blew me away and blew Linda away also. And that's in a whole nother story. And now he is one of my favorite surgeons and will call me personally.
Mm,
Um, he, the medical profession now has changed, in my opinion. The nursing profession has changed. They've become very professional. Yeah, there's been a problem with the VA in many years, but they're there to help you. And that's a I'm a veterans advocate. If you need help with the VA, let me know. When it comes to mental health, that doctor is important. Uh, I have a pharmaceutical doctor now, my pharmacist, that calls me every 2 weeks to review my diabetic medicines. And when we get that totally under control, we're going to go to the heart medications. Another team member,
right.
the foot doctor, the shoe doctor. Um, you have to be able to communicate with them because you can have something that's so small that you don't understand. A blister. I
Yeah.
ended up with a second blister on my other foot. And we, as diabetics, I think the standard is about every 4 to 6 years, we have another issue.
Yeah.
And if that's not controlled right away, and we can get into that later, I have other mechanical and medical devices that I use to monitor myself. You have to be able to communicate that with the doctor to say, hey, I got a blister. My VA doctor, I called up and said, I had, I'm laughing because we as amputees laugh about silly stuff,
Yes.
but I had no clue. I had a scab on my incision, that on my toe incision on my left foot, that I hit on my wheelchair, which is another device I use, and it bled a little bit. So you have a little hole and it covers up with a scab. Well, the scab didn't go away for 3 months. So I was panicked. So I called the doctor and said, can I come in and see you? And they said, of course, come in. I think it was within 2 days. They didn't tell me over the phone, but then they told me, a scab can take up to 3 years to heal and come off. And I had no idea.
I didn't know that either. I learned something.
Yeah, I mean, Linda and myself both just looked at, and the nurse told me, when I talked to you on the phone, I know how you would take it, so I did not tell you the whole story.
Right, right.
Because, it takes 2 to 3 years, and then she says, no, even though it can take that long, we still want to look at it.
Absolutely. You have to monitor it.
Don't play doctor.
Right.
Because so anyway, that's the team that I've built, and I feel very comfortable with any decision that has to be made. So then I understand what has to happen. When I went in for the second amputation on the other leg, uh, the doctor told me what he was going to do, and I understood up front, and I wasn't afraid. Uh,
Yeah.
or the depression didn't come in. The only depression that, excuse me, the depression that came in was the unknown factor. Was I going to be able to walk normally?
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah.
And because it was the little toe and not the greater toe, the big toe, the balance wasn't an issue. So, yeah, I have four toes on my left foot, but I can walk normally and you can't even tell.
Right.
So
Right.
that's
Hey,
my story on how I got there.
yeah. Hey, Rex, let's go back to support. What kind of support did you have going through this journey? Did you have family?
Well, I've had different types of support. The first leg, I had my family, my immediate family, my wife and my three daughters. They were younger, but I was really mad at myself that this had happened, and I isolated myself where I didn't really feel like anybody understood what I was going through
Yeah.
because nobody I knew was an amputee. Nobody, this was, I mean, I'd seen veterans that were amputees, but I'm like, okay, well, I'm not a veteran. I don't think anybody understands where I'm coming from.
Yeah.
Versus the second leg, I'd gotten divorced. My girls had grown up, and I basically had to rely on my church because I had to move out of my second floor apartment to my first floor apartment, and just being accessible, handicapped accessible, was a whole nother issue
Mm.
that I've had to work through myself. But if it hadn't been for really good church people and really good friends from my church and starting the support group at the hospital, I don't know what I would have done because my emotional health was so, I kept acting like everything was fine, and I was
Yeah.
blowing the depression off.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but everybody's like, it's okay to not, I'm generally a happy person most of the time,
Yeah.
but I was masking that depression
Yeah.
to the point where
I think a lot of us do. Like we put on a happy face around people because we don't want our families to worry and things like that. And you discover that they don't understand what you're going through anyway pretty quickly.
and
One,
that's a lot of what I've heard from the support of the family members. They're like, I can't talk to my spouse because I don't know what he or she are going through.
yeah,
And the same thing with the amputee.
yeah,
Nobody understands me. I understand you. I totally understand.
right.
And that's what really makes the advocacy and the support when we meet all the more special.
Yeah. I want to come to that advocacy in a moment, okay? Because it's really important. But before I do that, I want to talk a little bit about myself again when it comes to, the support that I had. And you all three, or both of you brought up, caregiver being your family and friends and your church or whatever, right? You really need those people in your life when you're going through this journey because one day you're happy, next day you're sad, next day you're happy, next day you're sad. Really, really big roller coaster. And I'll tell you, I was the opposite when I lost my second leg, Rex. I I lost the first leg and I kind of expected it with diabetes. I didn't look after myself properly and I knew it was coming one day, right? But I got up and walking on that leg and I was fine and I thought I said to the people in rehab, my other leg is gold. It's golden. I'm going to treat it so well. And I left the inpatient on rehab. They told me to come back the following week to an outpatient. I worked out on a Tuesday. On Thursday, I had a tiny, tiny blister on the other leg, and by Sunday night, my toes had turned black. I was devastated that I lost my second leg at that point and went into a really deep depression because of it. And I'll tell you what the turning point was is my surgeon, who's wonderful. She came in, she heard that I had lost a second leg, or it was infected and whatnot, and I was going to lose my second leg. She came in and said, "What are you worried about, Kevin? We're going to get you back up and walking." And I thought, if she believes in me that much, then why am I not believing in myself? Right? So it was a real turning point in this journey for me. Now let's go to advocacy. Okay, because all three of us are advocates, right? I'm running
Yes.
Limbloss Connection. I'm doing a podcast here. I'm trying to, like, the whole idea with Limbloss Connection is the word connection. Connect all of the people that have amputees, and you'll thrive. You'll do better. And Rex, you run a support group at the hospital. What else are you doing in terms of advocacy right now?
It's kind of interesting. This past year, a turning point hit me where I turned 55 and I had been without a job. I was let go from my job in January of last year because I couldn't drive.
Yeah,
I So that was part of it. And then this job that I have now, I'm basically an advocate for disability
yeah,
people with disabilities. I help people fill out disability applications, all of stuff I've done for the past 30 years.
yeah.
But I'm on this side of the desk, and I also know how they feel on the other side of the desk as needing to get disability. And if you can't get disability by having two legs that aren't there, I decided, forget this, I'm going back to work. And I feel I'm a huge advocate and a help for everybody that's going through any kind of disability because I understand. I've been there, done that.
Yeah, I haven't known you long, Rex, but one thing what comes out from you every time I talk to you is your empathy and kindness. You have that built into you, and it's really great qualities that you have there. Hey,
You're not the only person that said that, so I guess I have
yeah,
that.
yeah, no, it's true. Hey, Richard, tell us on your side. Um,
Well, it goes all the way back. And a lot of that advocacy comes back from I was a Vietnam veteran submarine sailor.
oh,
Uh,
okay,
I qualified in submarines over 50 years ago, and in order to be a submariner qualified, you really learn to rely on everybody.
yeah,
Uh, but you have to be careful about who you rely on. Uh, a quick side note is my caregiver. It was Linda at the time, uh, and opposite of Rex, uh, my caregiver or my girlfriend became my caregiver,
yeah,
and then 4 years ago we got married. So
Congratulations. Congratulations.
be, be careful of what you say when you say yet.
yeah,
Uh, so uh, you don't know what's around the corner, but the advocacy part of it has always been with me, and outside of the advocate area is also I'm a uh, the anniversary of my amputation is October, and October of this year I'll be clean and sober for 20 years,
good for
and
you,
I've been a big advocate of the 12-step program
good for you, yeah,
because of the fact that it really makes you ask the questions and look at your soul.
yeah.
It's not for everybody, but again, it's just another step. And working with the doctors and setting up what I'm trying to do now is set up a veterans amputee support group,
Yeah.
which is very difficult because the majority of the veterans that are amputees are male. And as the three of us know, the males are very difficult to deal with when it comes to amputees. don't tell us what to do, don't try to help us. And it's not that we don't want help, but we want to find out what we can do. We try to advocate for ourselves and not realizing it. But
Yeah.
we do need to advocate for ourselves. Uh, but we don't have the right tools to communicate that to the family members.
Yeah.
They don't seem to understand that we're not saying don't help us get away from me. It's what we're actually saying. I believe that we're saying I want to find out what I'm doing. Uh,
Yeah.
but we snap at the decision and it doesn't come across as the right way. And
Yeah.
that's easy for me to say now, looking back on it. But at the time, I'm just being an ornery guy.
Yeah.
So anyway, the advocacy goes along with the team approach, um, sharing information, and then also sometimes I start to sound like a salesman because I use mechanical devices to monitor whether it's my diabetes monitor. I got an insert in my sole that monitors all the pressure points. That gets monitored back to a central nurse and outside of me, that if I have a problem or I have a heat spot like a blister,
Yeah.
it will show up and it gets monitored to them. They call me immediately and tell me what's going on. And then they, under contract, have to call my doctor
Yeah.
to let them know that. So I just call it the foot monitor another rat fink. I can't ignore it. It's something that, like you said, your blood pressure. Sorry, your glucose reading was over 300. You can't, if it's being monitored, you can't lie about that. Oh no, I'm okay. So that OPEX for the sole, and then I have a pad that I can stand on that monitors it also.
Yeah.
And then the PAD, the peripheral artery disease specialist that I have, that go in to increase the blood flow in my leg, which has worked for me. Doesn't work for everybody, but it worked for me.
Yeah.
But I had to have 3 procedures done. So anyway, so the advocacy comes down to the meetings and also salesmanship. And there's a national convention coming up for the amputees, where there'll be hundreds of us together, and this sharing the information and finding out. Yes, we are unique, but we're not. I run into people that are even quad amputees, and it's, the one lady, I can't remember her name now. She says, "Yeah, I clap with my pads." It's like,
Yeah.
and we can laugh about that, and to some people it would be scary. So
Yeah.
anyway, that's where I'm at, Kevin. Thank you.
Yeah, well, Chris is a quad. Chris is the other guy that started Limbloss
Yes.
with me. He's a quad. Interesting story with him. He just wasn't feeling well one day. Decided to go into ER, and when he got to the ER department, the doctor said you'd be dead in an hour if you didn't get in here. He had
Wow.
he had sepsis. He went into a coma for 2 months. Woke up with no limbs. 38 years old. So
Wow.
yeah, real sad story. Hey, yeah. What was I going to say? Oh, yeah, technology. You brought technology up. Just as you were talking about it, my alarm went off. I don't know if you heard, but yeah, I've got mine set really restrictive. In Canada, in Canada, we measure our blood glucose from 4 to 7. You have a different scale and whatnot that you use than Canada. So my glucose gets I set mine at 8. Anything above 8, the alarm goes off. Anything below 4, the alarm goes off. And so without that, I don't know how many times I've had a low, and a low is absolutely horrible. Um, and that alarm has saved me because it's gone off.
Yes.
I know what it is, and I get some sugar into me at that point. So amazing, the technology and the stuff that you're using, Richard, is really impressive. Yeah.
I have the same as well.
Yeah. You have the blood, the Libra.
Yes, I have the Dexcom, and it's helped me a lot, because I know that if I'm high, I don't need to be eating what I think I'm going to be eating. Or
Yeah.
low, I need to get some sugar immediately.
Yeah. Yeah. Um, yeah, so let's move into a different topic here again. And I promised you that I would. I wanted to talk a little bit about mental health and depression, if you guys are okay with that.
Yes.
Sure.
So, and also what comes with that, yeah, before we get started, Richard, is you mentioned that you're sober and you're clean for how many years did you say?
It'll be 20 years in October.
20 years. Wonderful.
Well, the recovery process is totally different because I mean I went into the program many times,
Yeah.
uh, and I've been into the program because uh, a wife said you need to do something.
Yeah.
So you do that to get them off your back.
Yeah.
Uh, I've had the courts tell me I had to do that because I got a DWI.
Yeah.
I've gone through divorce, and the lawyer said you may want to look at that.
Yeah.
And all those times I've graduated from the program,
Yeah.
and I had not listened to the program.
Yeah. You just fall
Um,
down and get up, fall down, get up,
y-
right?
yeah, and on top of that, I had such a fantastic job with some very large organizations that I was able to travel the world. I was able to, I lived a 5-star life and really had very nice surroundings. Um, and I only only lost. I only lost one job because of alcohol, but it didn't stop me. A very sad story on. I know this is about amputation, but uh, my brother was trying to uh, detox himself from alcohol, and he rolled off the couch and died the next day after I saw him.
Oh, wow.
Because you can't really, you have to be careful if you detox yourself from alcohol. You can detox yourself from heroin, but the traumas that come from alcohol are just amazing. But I mean, we just don't know that.
Yeah.
Uh, and like you said, it can be a weekend person. It's not the uh, Bowery bum living in the gutter with a
Right.
raincoat and a
Right.
brown paper bag.
Yeah.
Um,
Well,
so
that's what I was trying to get to is that, even though you're only drinking like the 3 days and going, after a hard, everybody says, oh, I had a hard week. I had to have a drink. Well, if you're doing that all the time, that's alcoholism, and because it's impacting your life over and over. But I wanted to get to the one question about alcoholism. Do you think that alcohol had anything to do with your amputation?
no,
No. Okay.
no. My amputation came from the diabetes. My diabetes was I was the only person. There's only 2 people in my entire family that have diabetes, and that's with my father's 7 brothers and sisters. And the only 2 of us, one was a pilot that flew into Vietnam, and mine is an Agent Orange also.
Right.
So my amputation is purely from my fault for not taking care of my diabetes and my circulation problem, which are related to uh, Agent Orange. So the alcoholism, yes. Did it play a fact on my diabetes? I'm sure it did.
Yeah, that's what I was getting at is that when you drink, your sugars go up, right? Your sugars
Oh,
are high. So it does,
Yeah.
I think it does lead to your amputation, and maybe not in a direct way, but like more of an indirect way where it's impacting your sugars all the time and not being able to control it. That's where you a drink.
Kevin, mine wasn't alcoholism, but it was I overeat. That's my problem.
Yeah, that's another.
So the same effect with alcohol is food for me.
Yes.
Yeah,
So I wouldn't be checking my sugars. I wouldn't be, I
yeah,
wouldn't care. And it just got to the point where I'm like, well, if it hasn't killed me yet, I'm at 40, I was thinking I was invincible. So
yeah,
and just oblivious to it.
yeah.
But that's another technology thing that with the device that I have with the Dexcom, it really keeps me in check.
Right. Right. And that's a hard behavior to change too. It's an addiction, right? When you
Right.
eat food and it's very emotional and whatnot. So all these things, you think like a lot of people are doing them and they don't have diabetes, they think. But diabetes doesn't get detected until like well into your life sometimes. I was 40 some years old before they found diagnosed me with diabetes, but they think that I had it much earlier. So
I'm the same, and I feel that we as a nation or a world, we continue to supersize things, we continue to eat,
yeah, yeah,
and it's really the silent killer. It's not heart disease, but it will affect every part of your body from head to toe.
every
Whether
part.
it's your eyes, whether it's your feet, whether it's your endocrine system, it's everything of your body.
Yeah, yeah. It's everything. So let's move into the depression side of things. When I lost my second leg, I was telling you how depressed I got, right? I didn't want to live. That's how bad it was. I didn't want to talk to anyone. I didn't think life could go on. And I couldn't imagine it. I thought there's no way I'm going to be able to walk without two legs on prosthetics. How did you guys feel with your news? When did you get depressed?
Yeah, yeah, I mean, I believe everybody that has an amputation goes through that, and it's probably the 10 steps of recovery that you go through. Um, I didn't, like I said, I didn't know anything about uh, amputation, but I knew a lot about recovery and the steps of depression. So I had a depression doctor. So when when they found out that I was going to be amputated, uh, my head doctor knew right away of the problems that I could have, uh, and gave me suggestions on how to get around some of the depression.
Right.
Knowing that I was going to have depression, but how to deal with the things. Um, the loss of a leg, and then you do silly things. I almost said stupid things. Let's just leave it, whichever way you want to look at it. When I came home from the hospital, when I was released from the hospital through physical therapy, through occupational therapy, I had my shrinker on my leg. Uh, I get home, I'm on a walker, I'm going to be getting a cast in a couple of weeks. I was invincible again. I could walk around the house now.
Yeah.
I go to the bathroom, I stand up, and I forget I do not have a leg.
Yep.
And I fall right down onto my stump.
Yeah.
Blood all over the place. Linda can't pick me up because, yeah, I'm, like Rex said, oversized. She can't pick up 250 pounds. So she had to call 911. And then it was a trip to the hospital.
Yeah.
So the mental part of that is you forget where you're at.
Yeah.
You have to remember where you're at. And if we can remember where we're at and we have a device to get us around, it's good. I was in the living room. Linda asked me, well, how do you take a shower? So I was explaining to her how I stand up in the shower, reach up and grab the safety bar,
Yeah.
pull myself up, grab the other safety bar and then lower myself down into the seat. Well, when I lean back, I'm in the living room. I don't have those safety bars. Down right again. I fell again.
Oh no.
Another trip to the hospital in the ER.
Yeah.
Knock on wood, that's the last time I had to go to the ER outside of the left foot from falling, though. So the depression that came on was silly stupidity things that I did without thinking.
Yeah.
I have to think before I act, think before I speak. I wanted to make sure that I could still do some construction stuff, and we had a big trailer that we pulled around in camping. So I wanted to make sure I could climb up a ladder. So I had to set up a ladder and have Linda watch me get up the ladder, that I was safe.
Mm-hmm.
But the doctor knows that my head doctor knows that I get a call every couple times a year, every 4 months to 6 months, depending on how I'm doing. And I can call him anytime, just to check up on me. And if I'm having a problem with arguing with people, I got to figure out what's my part of it, because the majority of the times I'm the one that has a prejudice moment against something that they didn't do it my way.
Yeah.
Why can't the world work my way? And my depression comes back into my trying to control things where I shouldn't be.
Yeah.
So it's more of a self check that I have to do. But yeah, there's days that you get up and you don't feel like, why can't I just go the way that I used to? Well, there's a couple of reasons. Not only am I an amputee, I'm also over 70 years old now.
Yeah. Okay.
I don't want to slow down. I'm sorry, but yeah, I may have to.
Yeah. Hey.
So that's where I'm at with the depression part of it. Is I have my wife and my doctors. If I fall, I not only have to tell my wife that I fell, I also have to tell my primary doctor, my prosthetist,
the whole team,
and my physical therapist. I have to tell all four of those people when I fall.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Hey, Rex, how about you with the depression side of things? How did you experience?
I try, I'm on an antidepressant. It's a low dose, but I think everybody in this day and age, whether they're an amputee or not, has some kind of depression.
Yeah.
Just how they deal with things. I've always been one to, I know this was a point we were going to talk about. I've always used humor in just how I interact with people.
Yeah.
And it really helps me to voice my concerns as a joking manner, but I'm serious, but at the same time. And people look at me like I'm crazy. Like, why are you talking that way?
Yeah.
And I'm like, it's real. My legs are not going to grow back.
Yeah.
I can look at them and talk to them as much as possible, but the fact is, they're not coming back.
Right.
And so if I can make somebody laugh, again, even myself, or just, hey, my leg came off today, and they're like, how can you be so positive and this be funny to you? And I'm like, I've gotten used to it. It didn't used to be funny, but I can also have a serious side where I do feel, like I need to talk to somebody, but I try not to let those days get the best of me.
Yeah.
And just try to have a good attitude and kind of joke about it, because that's part of me. And I've told other people they've taken my legs, but they haven't taken my sense of humor or who I am.
Yeah.
And that's really important to me. And that's how I get through the depression.
Yeah, and it's true. Like we're still the same
Let
people.
I was going to interject one thing for Rex, and that was I was trying to think of an amputee joke right there.
Oh, I've got several. I've got several.
Well, yeah, but I was stumped.
Yeah, I gotcha. I
Yeah.
gotcha. I've got that on a t-shirt actually. People just look at me like, "Are you serious?" And then they're like, "Yeah, of course you are. You're Rex." That's
Yeah.
that's the funny part of it. So
Try,
yes.
try to think of your best one because I'm gonna wrap up with that. Okay, we're all gonna pull out a joke out of our joke hat. But before I do that, the last topic I really want to talk about is um, let's talk a little bit about employment. Now, Rex, I know that you're working again and you were able to get back to work, but not your same job, right? How do you feel about that?
That's correct. That's correct.
Yeah,
I was really mad when I lost my job because I was commuting like 30 minutes every day. And because I lost my left leg first, I could still drive.
right.
But when I lost both legs, my independence just went down the toilet
Yeah,
because I had never, even with the first amputation, you could not tell if I had slacks on that I was an amputee. And I
right,
was proud of that. Um, I mean, you could tell if I was wearing shorts, but people are like, I can't believe you're an amputee. Well, then when I hit the second one, I'm like, I'm going to be reserved to a chair the rest of my life. And they're like, no, Rex, you're going to be walking.
right.
And so it really took me down when they said, we can't have you working anymore because you can't come into the office.
Yeah,
They said, well, we can have you work from home. They didn't know what to do with me working from home because they didn't have anybody working from home and nobody'd ever. It was also kind of the end of COVID,
right.
but they just kind of said, we got to let you go.
Yeah,
And so for basically 8 months, I was unemployed, didn't have a job, didn't know how I was going to make ends meet. Like I said, if it hadn't been for my church family, I would have been homeless.
yeah. That's sad.
And luckily, this job, it all came into place when I hit 55.
Yeah. It's funny how things work out, but it is scary at the time, right? Um,
Right.
you know what? One thing so let's move to Richard first. Richard, I know that you're retired now, but were you working when you lost your first leg? Like when you lost your leg?
No, I was already retired for 15 years. I was 70 years old when I had my first amputation.
Yeah,
Um, but I mean, the amputation and uh, the employment side of it, yes. If you're a truck driver or if you're uh, in construction,
yeah,
which I wasn't a truck driver, but I was in construction.
yeah,
Yes, my job function is going to be different. I'm not going to be able to go out and frame a house all day. I'm not going to be able to go out and do some of those activities 100% of the time. But the ADA that's out there right now, uh, it, it, everything is changing. It really is. And we need the support uh, for the correct laws. There are people that are not able to get uh, prosthesis because they don't have the correct medical coverage.
right.
Uh, there's a group of people that are the teenagers that just can't get out and get it, and they don't have a more normal life.
Mhm.
Uh, and when I say more normal, I'm talking about an active life. Uh, they're not totally inactive, but they don't have in my opinion, a good life because the insurance field or the medical field, they just can't get the right stuff. Uh, we're getting better every year. It's still, I mean, if you go back 30 years ago, people were walking around with wooden peg legs.
Yeah,
Uh, and today we have carbon fiber, titanium, computerized
yeah,
prosthesis.
mhm,
Uh, so I didn't have a problem with employment. I had a problem with enjoy my life still. And I've been able to keep that up with support from my community of the AA people that come around to make sure that I'm still okay. Call a buddy, just calling people to make sure that you're okay, calling to make sure that they're okay.
Yeah.
And like right now, I'm enjoying a week down at South Padre, being able to go fishing and enjoying life. So
it's that connection.
But yes, I am 100% unemployable. Yeah, I'm 100% unemployable because I cannot stand up for very long in my other position. I would have to find a position like Rex has, where I could work out of a chair behind a desk. But that's where I'm at.
Yeah, the other common thing I hear, and it happened to me, I was a product marketer, which is really supporting the salespeople, going on the road, presenting products, talking to people, those types of things. I traveled all over the place. Well, I no longer could do that with my legs missing. I didn't feel I could. Now I do. I think I could do it, but I couldn't do it before. But I lost my job, and when I started to look, I'd go right through all the interviews and everything would be great. Come on in and meet us. I'd come in to meet them, and as soon as they saw my legs, the answer I got was you were so close to winning, but we decided to go with somebody else. And you can't prove that it was your legs, but you know that it's your legs, or at least you believe that, right? So that's a little bit sad. All right, let's move on to a happier topic. Okay, I told you guys we were gonna tell our best jokes. All right, I'll go first. I got two of them, by the way, that I can't. I thought they were quite funny. When I lost my first leg, and I still had my good leg, I was a little bit down and whatnot, and I told my family, this was going on, and of course, and my nephew said, "What's the big deal? Like, you got to look on the bright side. You can get a job at High Hop now." And the second one I like is, I'm bilateral. You can relate to you guys, I guess. When somebody comes in the room and they says, "Can I lend you a hand?" "No, I'm looking for a leg." So, Rex, give us your best.
Let's see. I was looking at I'm into there's a couple of places here in the States that they have amputee t-shirts, and it's become a hobby of mine.
Yeah.
One says I never thought I'd grow up to be a sexy amputee, but here I am killing it.
Oh, I like it.
So I really like that one. And then another one, quit pulling my leg because eventually they come off easy.
Yeah, yeah.
So
They're good. They're both good. Yeah. You got any, Richard?
Well, I mean, there's always that one where you're trying to explain what's going on, and you just say, "Well, I just don't have a leg to stand on."
Yeah. I've used that one a few times, but actually it's been true. Hey, listen, listen, you guys, it's been really
they told me an arm and a leg, but I bargained and got two legs.
Yeah. There are so many jokes out there. You'd never discover if you weren't had an amputation, but
and people just look at me and they roll their eyes like only you would do that.
Yeah.
I'm still waiting. I'm still waiting for my lizard pill to take a hold.
Yeah.
You need that leg to grow back.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. What am I thinking? I was like, I'm trying to get that. Yeah, I get it.
I keep putting Miracle Grow on mine and nothing's happening. They said it would grow back.
Okay.
They
Yeah,
would
but
grow
be
back.
careful, it'll turn green.
Oh, well,
We could go on
I
for
guess I'd have
hours.
green legs instead of green thumbs.
We could go on for
Yeah.
hours in this segment, you know? Hey, listen,
Yeah.
But this is the
What?
best part. This gets you through the dark times. It
yeah,
really
Yeah.
does.
it does. Humor's very,
Kevin, thank
yeah. So listen, I gotta wrap.
Kevin, thank you very much for the.
Thank you, Kevin. I enjoyed it. Enjoyed it very much.
Before you go though, there's two things I want to call out. One is the amputee coalition. We didn't talk much about that on this call, but wonderful, wonderful organization to get resources and information.
Agree.
I always like to call them out on this podcast and, you know, support them because they do great things. The other thing I'd like to say is Limbloss Connection, which is my organization that I'm starting. Go to limblossconnection.com and you'll learn more about us. And you know, we're there to.
And it's growing. It's growing.
It is growing. Yeah, it's snowballing. It's becoming bigger and bigger all the time. So I'm really happy about it.
Thank you, Kevin. Really appreciate that.
Okay, guys. Well, really enjoyed talking with you, and you know, we all have so much in common. Let's keep connected and talk through these things.
Hope it helps somebody else.
Yeah, it helps us. It helps somebody else. So I appreciate it. Thanks so much.
Thank you very much. Have a great day.
Yep.